Bloomington has seen its share of amazing people over the years.
Hi, I'm Mark Cuban, and I'm about to give you some advice on how to...
I was the first woman to...
It's a story about a monkey.
We could explain baseball to you.
When I was writing this novel, and it's just beautiful, beautiful music.
I'd like to thank the Academy for naming me in this group.
Amazing people from Bloomington, Indiana. Bob Hammel is one of them.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6,
Bloomington got its first taste of Bob Hammel in 1953. In January of that year, Dwight D. Eisenhower was inaugurated as the 35th President of the United States. In March, Branch McCracken's Hurryin' Hoosiers brought the NCAA title back home again to Indiana. And in August, this kid from Huntington enrolled in the School of Journalism at IU. He lasted one school year before he headed back home to Huntington for an opportunity that would change his life.
In about April of that freshman year, the editor sent me a letter and said that their sports editor had left and wondered if I'd take the job during the summer for while they looked for a replacement. Yeah, would I take that job? Of course I would.
As my parents drove me away, I turned around in the back seat, looked out the back window and said, "Goodbye, Bloomington. I'm sure this is the last you're going to see of me."
I was a sports editor and a columnist. I had a column the first week. My very first column was on a local guy from Huntington County who was just getting started in television in New York, Chris Schenkel.
Let's join Chris Schenkel and the President of the United States, Richard Nixon.
Well, Mr. President, Bud and I are so pleased that you came up into our office to pay us a visit at halftime.
Well, Chris, it's a little warmer up here than it is down the stand.
So I hitched onto a star right away. And Chris and I became really good friends over the years.
It turns out that Bloomington hadn't seen the last of Bob, not even close.
There was an opening in Bloomington in sports because a second paper had emerged.
So when we moved here, this was a 6-day-a-week paper. Dad decided that they would start a Sunday paper.
When he called and asked me to come down and interview, on the way down I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to leave the Indianapolis News to go to the Bloomington Herald Telephone. After I'm in there, he's telling me what we are going to do. He said, of course you're going to go to every IU game, to the Final Four every year, and we're going to go to the Olympics. And I'm thinking, whoa, this is a little different thing than I was anticipating.
13 years later, Bob came back to Bloomington and has stayed for 50 years.
72 was a realization because I was 35 at that point, and that was also the first year that Bob and I was coaching basketball in Indiana. They brought him to the Indianapolis airport Monday morning and had a press conference there. I went up to introduce myself. We had a short conversation.
I've never been a great fan of sports writers.
I try to help you young guys in this profession you've chosen. It's 1 or 2 steps above prostitution.
It was just the two of us, and I said, by the way, what's your middle name? And he said, Montgomery, but don't use it.
I'd never introduced myself as Robert Montgomery Knight. I thought always using your full name or whatever was a little bit pompous, and I never did. I was just Bob Knight, period. That's it.
That was the way we began.
It wasn't too long after I came to Indiana that he became a friend, and a very good friend.
Bob's connection with amazing people is a theme of his life.
Forget about the crowds, the size of the school. their fancy uniforms and remember what got you here.
I was such a fan, a loyal Indiana University acolyte, that I would get, when I was living in California, a subscription to the Herald Telephone. And in those days, they would come in bundles once a week. So I would read everything that Bob wrote, probably for 20 straight years.
I met Bob when I was first in the football program.
The football season ends on a Saturday. The very next Saturday, the basketball season opens. And they had a TV scrimmage the next day.
I'm preparing to go home for a day and a half. It's the first time away from home for a long time.
Bob Knight, he said, you'll see Buckner in the locker room afterward. He said, just tell him I'm expecting to be at the scrimmage Sunday.
I said, what?
About 20 years later, Gwen said, I don't know what I ever told you. There was a day in my life when I hated you. I was edging toward retirement, but I had this biography in mind that I thought I'd like to try sometime of Bill Cook.
We began our production in that apartment is where Cook started.
This would be in 1963. We came to Bloomington. We had no friends here, no relatives, no jobs, no income. He was determined to start his own business in Bloomington, in our apartment.
Bill invited me to speak after that lunch, and he said, I'm going down to the West Bay this afternoon to look at him. He said, would you like to ride along? He's driving. And he said, how would you like to do my book? I'm one of those people who really thinks things out carefully, so about 8 seconds later, I said, I'd love to do that book. And I got a Bill Cook handshake, which is that's a contract.
I consider Bob a writer's writer. He cuts to the heart of what matters.
There's an energy about being around Bob Hammel because he's about doing things.
I thought he was honest, I thought he worked hard, and I thought he was very smart.
Bob Hammel and Bloomington. It worked out well.